Namaste again and welcome. Welcome to my heart and welcome to our new meditation. Did you ever hear the story of the courtesan, the king, and Mother Ganga? It's a good story. I am thinking that you might like to hear the story this morning. Once upon a time, in ancient Mother India, there was a king. Now, his name I've long forgotten, primarily because he was the king. And it didn't really matter what his name was. Everybody called him the king. Or they called him Your Majesty. Oh, can you imagine going through your life and people calling you Your Majesty, as if by your very presence you were majestic and you bless them. So that was what he was known as, the king or Your Majesty. Well, one day the king decided to call all of his court advisors together. He had been thinking and thinking and thinking, and he had a puzzle for them to solve. So he called the astrologers together and the scientists together and the philosophers together and the operations people together and the organizers together and the dancers and musicians, all of the court advisors, everyone who could help him to make the court beautiful was called together. And he said, we're going to go down to Mother Ganga. Now, I don't know if you remember, but in India, Mother Ganga is the great river. Mother Ganga is the source of all life. Mother Ganga is held with great, great respect by the Hindus, by the Indians, by people all over the world, the yogis. People come from all over to sit at the bank of Mother Ganga. It is the desire of many to bathe in Mother Ganga. At the time that one dies, for any good Hindu, they always try to take their remains back and to join Mother Ganga. And so you go to Mother Ganga and you find many, 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 many people. Every morning, people are bathing in Mother Ganga. They are doing puja in Mother Ganga. They are drinking from Mother Ganga. They are washing their clothes in Mother Ganga. She has a lot of human energy to carry. Now the king comes to the shore, gathers everyone around him. And he says, well, you tell me you're the advisors to moi, the king. You should be able to do anything. I would like you to reverse the course of Mother Ganga, of the great Ganges River. Make her flow in the other direction. Oh, wow. The astrologers consulted with their ephemeris. Well, I'm sorry, we have to wait for the right time. It's not the right time yet. The scientists were going to build a dam to try to reverse the course of the river. And try as they might, working together and working alone, none of them were able to reverse the course of the river. They all came back to the king one after the other and said, I'm sorry, it cannot be done. And after the last one came back, king sat and shook his head and said, I'm very disappointed in all of you. I am the king. You have told me that you could do whatever it is that I wish done. And now you have failed. Every single one of you have failed. And he sat in silence. Your Majesty, Your Majesty, please, Your Majesty, I can do what you asked. From outside the crowd of all of the courtiers, the advisors, there comes an old woman. She said, I heard what you asked your advisors to do, and I can do this for you. Now they looked at her, all the advisors, because not only was she old, not only was she a woman, but she was a courtesan. You know, a courtesan? She was a prostitute. More than a prostitute, though. I mean, a courtesan from the time that she was young until her ancient days now. She was a courtesan. You could tell by looking at her that she was a courtesan. And they all started laughing and guffawing and making fun of her. And the king said, wait a minute, wait a minute. None of you did it. You all had your chance. Let me give her a chance. He nods to the courtesan, and she walks over to the edge of Mother Ganga. And she begins to speak to the great Ganges River. She begins to speak to the most holy and sacred river in all of India, the most holy and sacred river that runs in all of the earth. And as she spoke, the river stopped. As she spoke, as she finished speaking, the river reversed its course and began to flow in the opposite direction. The river reversed its course and began to flow upstream. Everyone was astonished. They thought maybe they'd been hypnotized. What happened? How could she, a courtesan, do this when all the wisest men advising His Majesty the King could do nothing to move the course of the river? King nods and slightly bows to her and says, please tell me your secret. How did you do this? I but spoke the truth of my life, Your Majesty, for you can see, looking at me, that I am a courtesan. From the time I was a young girl, I was trained to be a courtesan. You can see my mother was a courtesan, my grandmother was a courtesan. I was born into a family of women who were courtesans. It is our dharma to serve. My mother, my grandmother, my grandmother's mother, we were taught to serve. We were taught to serve all men who came to us with their needs equally, without judgment. We were taught to serve them with respect. Whether they were wealthy or poor, whether they were high caste or middle caste or low caste, we were taught to serve them. My entire life, I have not served the giver of the money, but I have served always the true owner of the wealth that has come to me. In each man who came to me for whatever service they asked, I treated them with respect. I treated them with respect. And this, Your Majesty, is the truth of my life. My karma was to be born a courtesan. My dharma was to serve. And thus I spoke to the river and spoke the truth of my life. And the great Mother Ganga granted my request. Seeing the truth of my life, she granted my request and began to flow stream. What is your dharma? So often we talk about karma. We talk about the law of cause and effect. We talk about the events that come into one's life. We talk about one's attitude towards these events that come into one's life. But we often do not speak or think about dharma, your duty. People get all caught up in what is dharma? What is dharma? What is dharma? How do I know what dharma is? How do I truly form my dharma? Your dharma changes over the course of your life. Your dharma is for you to act with integrity at every phase of your life. Your dharma as a student is to study. Your dharma as a child is to listen to your parents and respect and learn from those who are there to teach you. Your dharma at the time of your married life is to take care of your family in whatever way your role in that family is, at whatever time your role in that family is. If you're a child, you do not have the same dharma as a mother or a father. If you're a mother or a father, you don't have the same dharma as the grandmother or grandfather. So you need to know what your true dharma is. And like the courtesan, maybe your dharma is to serve. Maybe your dharma is to serve life in the best way that you can at this moment, at this time. Now, you know, the really great thing about Kriya Yoga, we have a lot of techniques, we have a lot of practices, a lot of ways that you can improve your life, however you wish to improve your life. But it is said that enlightenment comes through your efforts. It doesn't come through your perfection. It doesn't come from your being number one. It doesn't come from you making the best muffins in the world or singing the song the most mellifluously. It doesn't come from your beating everybody else out. It doesn't come from your preferences rising. It comes through your effort, your repeated effort. And what effort is that? Well, my beloved, it's the effort to do that which you know needs to be done at that time, in that way. What needs to be done in the moment of the circumstances of your life. Not looking at somebody else's dharma or karma that flows into their life, but looking at your own. I was made aware the other day of something I had never envisioned in my life. I didn't know anything about this, and was educated just a few days ago. There's an app on the internet. Many of you have heard of it. I think it's called TikTok. And upon this app, people dance and sing and do various things, I'm told. And there's a young woman who had the karma beginning in 2019, they tell me, to do a little dance on this app. Well, today, she has 78 million people following her on this app and has made the second most amount of money made through this app of anyone. Young girl, just 20 years old, just 20 years old. Now that's an interesting piece of karma, is it not? Very interesting piece of karma. What is her dharma at the moment? What is her duty at the moment? Well, it's her duty to perform as well as she can. It's her duty to look at this wealth that is flowing into her life and to use it as wisely as she can. Only she knows. We can look from afar and say, wow, that's interesting. Wonder how long that piece of karma is going to blossom and be in fruition. And at the same time, one can also say, oh, I wonder how that feels to have all of the minds of all of those people focused on you with their wants, their needs, their greeds, their admiration, their jealousies, the emotions of their mind. For some, that is what they are seeking. For others, we can say, I think I am better off if very few people notice me and I can turn inward and turn upward. Now, what is your right effort? What is your effort? What is the sacred Kriya that you need to perform at this time? You and you alone know that. You and you alone can look at your life and say, what do I need to do at this time, in this place? One of the seminarians was telling me a while ago about walking on the beach. She was in the south of India. And she met a young girl. And as I recall the story, the girl was selling seashells, seashell necklaces. And they stopped and they talked along the beach. And the young girl talked about how she longed to go to school, how she really wanted to go to school. And then she said, but my dharma in this life is to help feed my family. Others in my family will go to school. My dharma is to help feed them. Next lifetime, I will go to school. Wow. That's an attitude. Next lifetime, she will go to school and it will be easier for her and others will help her. And you can look all around you and see in families, in groups of people, souls who have sacrificed their dreams, their desire to go to school, and instead go to work so others in their family will have that dream. Well, they look at their dharma, their duty for that time, and they say, in this time, in this way, in this place, this is my duty. What is your dharma? Don't make it complicated, don't complicate it. Really, it's not complicated. Look at your life and the place that you are in at this time and ask yourself, what should I be doing? What should I be doing here? And you can say, well, I can't do that very well. I don't do that very well. The answer is, so? No one said you had to do your dharma well. You just have to take an action. And it's like this, You're standing on one shore and you want to get across the river. Now you can chant and say, Om Bhurvubhava Svaha, Om Bhurvubhava Svaha, Om Bhurvubhava Svaha, and hope that the other side of the river comes magically across to you and builds a natural bridge so you can walk across. Yeah, maybe if you chant long enough and hard enough and take lifetime after lifetime, the other shore will come across. But I am thinking it's not going to happen too quickly. Well, maybe you can holler, someone help me, somebody help me cross, somebody help me cross. Maybe in time that'll happen. Somebody will help carry you across. The monks will come and carry you across. But maybe you say, well, I wonder if I could build a boat. I wonder if I could find a raft. I wonder if I walk a little ways, if the river is flowing slowly and I could walk across. I wonder if I look in either direction, perhaps someone else has formed a bridge that I can walk across. Or maybe I just stay on this side and walk upstream or downstream and find that which I am seeking and stop lusting to get to the other place. You have choices to make about your life. You have choices to make every single day about your life. Every single day you can choose. Do you want to be happy? Do you want to be more joy-filled? What can you do? What is the right action for you at this moment? Do not allow yourself to be frozen from acting because you don't think you can do it well enough. Do not allow yourself to be frozen from taking a joy-filled or taking a step because you can't do it perfectly. Enlightenment comes from your efforts. Enlightenment comes from your efforts. Enlightenment comes from your efforts. Not the efforts of mama, papa, not the gift of God, but through your own efforts. It is said by the mystics that God is powerless. Now, I don't know about you, but the first time I heard that, my mind was highly offended. My mind was shocked by it. In fact, it was a few decades ago that I first heard that. Close to 5 decades ago. I listened carefully. And what followed next was, you must turn to the divine. You must turn to the divine. You must turn to life and call upon life in whatever form is meaningful to you. Call upon life in whatever way is meaningful to you. And when you turn, the power of the divine in all of its manifestations will help you in the way that you most need the help. But first, you must turn. Sometimes the divine will, show you a little bit of light. As Shelley liked to say, you can go into the room and you can see the doors, but most of the time you're not going to see one door lit with neon lights saying, this is it, this is it, this is it. You have to meditate, you have to reflect, you have to be still in order to see which door to walk through. You must be still and quiet to see which door to walk through. Now, what is the problem? Why does life become a burden? Why does life become heavy? Why do you find yourself in the same situation again and again and again? It is because of the lila that you are living in. Now, this is a word that in Kriya Yoga is used quite often to describe the nature of life. You are living a dream. You are living in a dream. Your mind thinks that everything that rises in the mind is the reality. Every thought that you have is the reality. You look in the mirror and you see a handsome man and you think, you are that man. You look in the mirror and you see a beautiful woman and you think, I am that. Neti, neti, neti. Neti, neti, neti. It is a burden because you think you are what you see. And more importantly, you think you are what you are doing. So you are working as an artist. You are working as an executive. You are working as an actor. You are working as a waiter. You know, you go to France and the waiters, it is their métier, their dharma. They are very proud. Waiters are considered, it's considered to be a very proud occupation, the occupation of service. It is done well. It is these people who follow this dharma are respected and treated with great respect. You come to America and you go to certain places in New York or Los Angeles or Chicago, and you ask someone, well, what are you doing? Well, I'm an actor and I work part-time as a waiter until I make enough money to be an actor, to full-time. So that what they are doing, the service, the seva, as a waiter or waitress, is diminished. It is they themselves are looking down upon this work that they are doing. They're saying, I'm not this. No, I'm this, which has a greater value to my mind. And the truth is, you are neither of those. You are not the waiter. You are not the actor. You are self-conscious awareness, balanced self-conscious awareness, balanced self-conscious awareness of who and what you are. And thus you need to let go of this notion that you are what you are doing. You're politically active. You think you are what you are doing. You're a soldier. You think you are what you are doing. What happens, as one of the seminarians said to me, I was a soldier 30 years ago. People still look at me and they see the soldier. They still look at me and they see the uniform. What is to be done? You must make a change in your thinking. This requires a change in your thinking. And really, the change in your thinking comes from a dedication, a vow that you take to yourself. A dedication to an ideal. Dedication to the one thing that you wish your life to be about. And whether that is that you are seeking for your life to be a life in which you know how to make the right effort at the right time. Or whether you seek your life to be about something else. That is for you to decide. Not for me, not for anybody else to tell you how to live your life, but for you. It's your life. You get to decide. You get to choose. Choose wisely. The courtesan chose seva, service. Who are you to say that her service was any greater or any less than the service of Mother Teresa, helping the dead, the poor and dying people of India. It's seva. It's serving. It's with an attitude. And the attitude is to do the best that you can with what you are doing. And I think really, if there's one thing I come to say to you today, truly the one thing I come to say to you today is this: you need to act with wisdom. Before you can act with wisdom, you need silence. Mona. Ah, the great blessing to be still. And in the stillness, to allow the right action to come into your awareness. And if you bump your toe, if you fall, if you stumble, you will. So what? Get up, you go again. And if you practice for decades and decades and decades, and a piece of karma unfolds, and you have a chance to see the results of your action, and a chance to truly assess whether you are where you thought you were, you have to accept what you see and say, well, guess I need to row a little harder. Guess I need to practice a little bit with a little bit more attention, a little bit more concentration. And so we will move into a meditation now. But I say to you, remember the courtesan. She saw beyond the acts that she did to the effect of her actions. She knew that she was performing seva. And yet in her society, in her culture, people looked down upon her. They made fun of her. They called her names. She was not respected. Yet these people came to her, these men came to her mother, to her grandmother, over and over and over and over. And they provided a service to them. The men would not have come if there was not a need. The seva would not have been performed if there was not a need. So criticize not what another is doing, but try to see beyond. You know, you see the young nurses' aides in a hospital, and they come to help a person who's hospitalized. They come to help a person whose body is not well. And maybe they have to help them biologically. Maybe they have to help them to get to the bathroom. Maybe they have to help them to put on their socks, or to get dressed, or to brush their hair. And you could say, well, what do you do? What do you do for your living? And they could say, well, I help people get dressed. I help them brush their hair. I help them get up out of the chair. I help them get to the bed. I help them get to the bathroom. Yeah, those are the actions. You are helping a person to feel respected if you treat them with respect. You are helping them to heal if you treat them with kindness and gentleness. And so what is your act? Your act is an act of seva, of service, of compassionate, loving service. In everything you do, you come in, you smile, you greet them. You are helping them to heal. And so you must see, you work in a grocery store, you help people to feed themselves, to feed and nourish their bodies. You work as a fireman, you are helping people to keep their homes safe. Your dharma is that of a mother or a father, and you are helping a soul to be able to live upon the earth. Your dharma is of a young person, finding joy in your life, trying to find the next thing that you wish to do in your life. Make the next thing a quieting of the mind, an interning, and a dedication to your own enlightenment. It can be fun. It doesn't have to be serious. Your path to enlightenment can be fun, can be joy-filled. It should be fun. It should be joy-filled. It doesn't have to be this big, serious thing. Oh, I'm going to be enlightened. Oh, no. Find joy, find joy. Let go, and I'm saying it a second time, let go of the need, the thought that you have to be number one. Let go of the need, the thought you have to be best. You have to be the best lawyer, the best doctor, the best actor or actress, or the best Swami, the best whatever it is that you're thinking. Let go of it. There was a young man, and he was talking to an older fellow. The older fellow says, well, how have you been spending your life? And the young man says, oh, well, I play a little guitar, I sing a little, I compose a little music, I draw a little, paint a little, have learned woodworking, worked as a plumber, gone to school, learned a couple of different languages, traveled around the world. And the old man said, oh, that's wonderful. My goodness, that's wonderful. And the young man kind of looked down and he said, well, I'm not really good at anything. I'm not a very good musician. I'm not a very good composer. I'm not a very good singer. I'm not a very good woodworker at all. And the older man says, oh, but here you have drawn all these wonderful experiences into your life. All these wonderful experiences. Do not worry about whether you are the best. Do not worry about how good you are. Know that you have drawn these experiences into your life. My guru, Swami Pranananda, loved language. Language is one of the most important disciplines that he carried through his life. And he learned many, many languages, and including French, which was the language of one of the countries he went to live in for much of his life. And so we shared some French language books, and there's a wonderful set of books that he really liked. And I was going to see him. He was in his mid-80s at this time. And he said, would you go look and see if you could find in my bookshelf, the French book number 2 in this series. He says, there's probably a second one there. If there's a second one there, bring one and take the other one home. So I did, brought one, took the other one home. And he said, now, can you find the third one? He said, I can't give you the first one. You have to go find the first one. I need it here. I have to restudy the first one. Now, if there's 2 of the third, you can have one. Otherwise, bring it here. I need it to study. Now, I was impressed because he had lived, at that time, he had lived in France for 15, 16 years. And he was willing to share with me his books, but not the ones that he thought he was going to study. And that included the beginning book. That included the second book. That included the third book. He didn't go to book 5 and say, oh, you can have books 1 to 3. He said, no, I need to be able to review all of the language, all of the books. And he did that with great joy, great joy. He liked language a lot. Find that which is joy-filled to you and do that. Do that. Become ever more joy-filled. Enlightenment comes from your efforts. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be number 1. You just have to try. You just have to look at the circumstances of your life and say, what can I do at this time, at this moment, to improve the circumstances of my life? Maybe it's getting up and walking down the stairs and walking up the stairs, or maybe it's getting up and brushing yourself off and walking outside. Maybe it's reading a sacred text. Maybe it's making a phone call to a family member or a loved one. You can decide. You have the freedom to decide. Isn't that wonderful? Nobody will do it for you. You for you, you for yourself. Be thou blessed. Enjoy your journey to enlightenment. And as it comes, satori by satori, insight by insight, as the enlightenment comes upon you, share it. Not by proselytizing. No, 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 no. Not by feeling that you have to convert everybody else. No, 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 no. By radiating that vibration of joy, of happiness, by being a little more loving, a little more kind, a little gentler, a little wiser, by understanding that which everyone else needs. Give what you need to yourself, and then others will also benefit from that. And remember, the Kriya is about you trying. I've said this many times this last time, this hour we've been together. It is your trying, your effort, not how well you do it. I always think, as I think of this topic, of a man who came to Pranananda. And at the time he came, he had been in 28 or 29, I can't remember the exact number, rehabilitation programs for alcohol and drug abuse. And he was quite discouraged when he came. A very lovely man. And Kriyananda looked at him and he said, you do not worry how many times you try. You will succeed. Because look, you kept trying. You've kept trying, John. You will succeed. You keep trying. One of these times you're going to try and it's going to stick, but don't you give up. For you have tried more times than many. And the fact that you have stood up and tried again, that is everything. And I tell you, in time, that man moved to the right place. And he has been without alcohol and drugs for, I don't know, 10, 12 years now, a long time. Because he kept trying. He wanted it so much that he kept trying. It's like the great gymnasts, the great musicians, the people who want to accomplish anything in their life, they keep trying. And that's all you have to do, my beloved, is keep trying. Namaste. May your kriyas be blessed. May your efforts be blessed. May you find happiness and joy in all that you do, with every minute of your life, with every breath that you breathe, with every kriya that you perform. Be happy, be more joyful, enjoy it. And if it's not joyful, say, okay, this is the dharma, this is the karma, this is the dharma of the moment. May I see the higher purpose of this and act with wisdom. Namaste. Let us go into a meditation, please. Sit with your spine erect and your hands on your thighs. Placing your hands in the Om Mudra, cupping them upward. Focus your attention at the sun center, the point between your eyes. Turn your head to the left with a double exhalation. Bring your head back to the center. begin to watch your breath. Take a long, deep inhalation. And exhale twice. Again, a second time. Again, a third time. Using the sipping breath, pull the energy from the limbs of your body to the trunk of your body. Again, sipping as if through a straw, pull the energy from the trunk of the body to the spinal column. From the base of the spine, pull the energy up to the sun center. Move that energy as a golden ball of light in front of you, sweeping around to the left, encasing your entire being in a golden light. Do this 2 more times. Now expand this golden light and ascend above the room that you are in. Ascend as high as you are able to the high place, to Devaloka, a high place of the meditators. And finding yourself in your high place, sit in your meditation. Call upon the powers that be, upon your chosen form of the divine, to join you in this moment, that you might attune to the divine. Letting the breath breathe itself. Become aware of your breath. Let the inhalation and exhalation occur of its own accord. Enter into the silence. the mind wanders, bring it back to your breath. Now, from your breath, allow the Om mantra to come forth. Gently, softly. See the Om moving forward from your sun center, radiating out into the entire universe. And feel the Om echoing back to your sun center. As if a circle, the Om to you and you to the Om, from your consciousness to the macrocosm. Om. 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 See and feel that Om radiate forth as a golden light from your sun center to all reality, from all reality, the macrocosm, back to your sun center, the microcosm. Om. Open your mind, open your heart, and accept the blessings coming back to you through the Om. Om. Omananda, 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 da, da. Hold that joy. Sip of it, sup upon it. Allow it to fill every cell of your being. And now when you are ready, you may wish to leave the high place, knowing that you can return here again and again, or stay and sit in meditation as you wish. Return to this high place every day, many times a day, for just a moment, and find your joy. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste, Namaskar. Be joy-filled. Shanti.